Welcome, everyone, to the Russia Information Session. This program, today, we're going to tell you a little bit about our study abroad program in Russia. With me today are Professor Tom Marullo from the Russian department, as well as two recent returnees, Martin Healy and Charles Sedor. They both studied in Russia last year in spring 2020. So let's just jump right in. So basic program information for this program is that the program itself is located in Moscow, St. Petersburg, or Vladimir. I'll show you on a map here in just a second where those places are. The cohort size tends to be fairly small. Sometimes we have as few as one student go to Russia through Notre Dame, and other times we've had as many as 5 or 6. But again, it's just going to vary from year to year how big the program ends up being. We partner through American Councils of the Teachers of Russian, or ACTR, or sometimes ACIE as they're known. But this is a well-respected, well-established partner of ours through the university. We've been partnered with them for over a decade at this point, and the students have always had an excellent experience. This program itself is a language immersion program. It's one of our most immersive language programs that the university offers, where students typically come back with at least 12, possibly up to 16 credits in Russian. The eligibility for this program is such that you have to have 4 or more semesters of Russian language. Again, with it being so highly intensive in Russian and everything that you do being conducted in Russian, we want to make sure that you have the skill set to succeed on this program. The visa requirements, you will have to apply for a visa well in advance for this program. The visa requirements can be updated from time to time, so we're not going to put those in this information session, but once you are accepted into this program, we will be informing you of those requirements as they become available. One thing that is fairly consistent, however, is that you cannot be in the ROTC program. And then the fall calendar largely mirrors our own, late August to mid-December and early mid-January to mid-May. This here, Martin and Charles, or Professor Marullo, can you tell us a little bit about this picture here and what we're seeing?
Boys, take it.
So what we're seeing here is the Alexander Nevsky Monastery, or Lavra, and it is the home to 2 massive cemeteries where some of the most notable individuals of Russian culture and history are buried, such as Fyodor Dostoevsky and Tchaikovsky, just to name some easy ones off the top of the head. It's actually a very nice and beautiful place if you can get there on a nice sunny day. And it's just really fun to show up and look around at all these cemeteries and headstones, because they're really intricate. They're not just simple. They're usually some sort of like monument or statue relevant to the person's life.
Great. Thank you, Charles. So where in Russia are these places? Hopefully most students will be able to tell you where St. Petersburg and Moscow are, but I've identified them on the map for you. Vladimir is a little bit further east of Moscow. From what I'm told, it's about as far from Moscow as, say, Chicago is from South Bend in terms of distance. But I did want to show you where in Russia you could end up studying. So let's talk a little bit about academic information. This program, as I mentioned, has a lot of language courses associated with it, as you can see from this list. The 2 courses highlighted in red are the courses that are required of all Notre Dame students who go on this program. So you'll end up coming back with 12 Notre Dame credits in Russian on just phonetics, conversation, intonation, lexical study, etc. The rest are choices, and they could be as few as 1 of these courses available for 4 ND credits, or you can take a combination of the courses that are 2 ND credits as well. But you will end up getting 16 credits towards your Notre Dame degree and towards either Russian or political science in this case. Charles, Martin, can you talk a little bit about what class was like, what the dynamics of it were, how it differed perhaps from the United States or from Notre Dame in specific, what your professors were like, if you had language tutors, what those were like, etc.?
Okay, well, that's a lot of things.
To remember, yeah. No, that's okay.
I'll just start off with what the classes were like. Very small classes, very, very small classes compared to Notre Dame. There's no auditorium or anything like that. You are in a small room, probably about the size of this room right now that we're in. Maybe smaller, yeah. and you're just face to face with the professor teaching you, and it's very involved. It's very, if they feel like you don't understand what preposition means to go on top of and what means to go under, they will take a book and whack it down so that this is on top of, and then put it underneath, what this is under. And so in terms of teaching, the teachers are very committed to making sure that you understand a concept before they move on. And it helps because in that close environment, you are able to focus completely on what you're doing. Do you want to talk about the non-classroom, like the tutors? And
Yeah, so I had, each of us is given a tutor to help us complete our weekly work, whether it's the excursion assignments, or it's just homework or helping you prepare for a test or going to see some sites around the city. My tutor is named Luba. Her and I are still great friends. I communicate with her every other day, but time differences does make it a little difficult. But they're really there to really help you get adjusted to academic life, to culture, to the society around you. And you can utilize them as much or as little as you want. Her and I became great friends. She really helped me adjust when I was in Russia over the course of the summer. I actually had the privilege of knowing her a little beforehand. But yeah, you had a great tutor too.
yeah, I had Pasha. He was a great tutor. I think one of the things is that when we were told ahead of time going, they made it seem very professional, formal relationship. Like, this will be your tutor. You will bring them your, weekly assignments to do write-ups with, and you will ask them, how do I do this? And so that was the first time I messaged my tutor. I messaged Pasha and I was like, hey, I'd like to meet up for the first time today. How does this time work? And he's like, well, how about 8 o'clock and p.m.? And I was like, that's an odd time for a meeting, but okay. And he's like, and he follows it up with, yeah, well, the bar doesn't open till right before then. So I was like, oh, I see how it is. But they want to be more than just your tutor. They want to be your friend. And I think that actually does more for you learning, because having someone that you can try out new, phrases with, try out new mechanics that you just learned in class with, having that sort of person to talk to helps you continue your learning outside the classroom, continue what you were learning. When you're less scared of, the professor judging you for your mistake, you can try it out with someone who, took you to a bar on your first time meeting up.
You're responsible, of course.
Yes. We had food.
Nice. Thanks, guys, for sharing that. I appreciate that. Moving on to the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about housing and meals. Of course, living in a homestay, that's what that top picture is. Move the picture here so you can see a little bit better. But in a homestay, it's a unique opportunity to live the culture, learn, kind of street Russian as opposed to just, classroom Russian, as it were. Unique histories of the places that you're living in, or the families that you're living with. There is usually a commute associated with that, but that's part of the normal, I think, Russian student experience as well. I will say, in my significant number of years at the university, over 12 years at this point, we have actually only ever had students stay in the homestay. But if a homestay is not really your thing, there is a dormitory option available as well. It is an exclusively student environment, but because of the international nature of the dormitory, it tends to be less of a native speaker environment. Just an FYI, I'll have the students talk about their experience in the housing here in a second, but that second picture is not of a dormitory. I will have the two students talk a little bit about their housing experience, but also what that picture is.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to be in Russia twice. So when I got there, I actually stayed with the same host for a second time, which actually made it sort of nice because I already knew her and we could just pick up right where we left off. And she was like, oh, you look so good, because I guess I was too skinny when I was there the first time. Russian mothers really want to make sure young men have eaten enough. So she was like, oh, you look so good. You speak so well now. And I'm like, I know I didn't speak well the last time. I'm glad that you can now understand me. And we took a taxi home, and it was a very cozy home. She lives by herself in a fairly large apartment. She has 3 bedrooms, which is very rare for most families. She also runs the building, so that sort of helps. She's the building manager. She helps deal with all the paperwork and bureaucracy. But she was a very Soviet woman. She was always like, do you want food? When do you want to eat? Have you had enough? No, you haven't had enough. Here's more anyway. And she was like very on top. And like, I always like to say she's like a very Soviet woman because she was very direct. But didn't mean she was like scary in any way. It's a different sort of experience meeting someone who's so direct with you and knows no English. So, but I really enjoyed it. I'm actually rather sad that I can't be back anytime soon.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed my homestay. That's my kitchen. Well, Alexei's kitchen up top there. And so I guess, yeah, I had a lot of the same experiences where, very direct person talking to me. The meals were great. Having him talk to me, or on the weekends, I'd be like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, oh, I know what you're going to do. You're going to go to the Political History Museum. Here's a map. I drew it on a napkin. Take Charles. He's probably bored too. And see if you can get that other girl from up the street to go. Come on, let's get out of here. And but he was always had something else some idea for me to do, and it was great. And I got to see and more of the city, even if he didn't go with me. He only went with me like the first time to show me around because he was a busy guy. But after that, he would send me on places, and then we would come back, and over dinner we would talk about how my day was, or how the Political History Museum was. And so I think having that, I would strongly recommend against choosing the dormitory. And I think how many people do we have? 2 people in our program, not from Notre Dame. 2 people in our program, though, chose dormitory. And one of them did it because she felt like she just didn't want to deal with the hassle of speaking with Russian all the time. And the other one did it because he was nervous about it, and he later regretted it.
Yeah.
And was trying to switch when we got sent home from COVID. So I think unless you know 100% certain that you will be a dormitory person because you don't want to do it, I would recommend going out, taking that risk, because it's 100% worth it. Having that kind of person to talk to, and also to navigate through daily life in Russia is crazy. So especially if there's bureaucracy involved. So having them to help with that as well was a good thing.
Yeah. And just to be clarified, yes, that is not the dormitory. That is the main building. The statue there is of the university, not our university, their university. It's not quite as nice. But actually it is, because inside they have pictures of all the emperors and empresses who reigned from the founding of the university until the collapse of the Russian Empire. And in front they have a statue of a very famous Professor Ushinsky. And they really just embrace their history, and they really let it show out in the main building. And it's like, that building is older than most of the United States. And the fact that you still walk in and it looks the same as it did hundreds of years ago, it's kind of just an awesome feeling.
Yeah. It's the Russian State Pedagogical University, named after Herzen. And Ushinsky was the founder of that discipline. So they really take that idea of teaching and perfecting their teaching to heart. And you can see that by who they choose to honor out front, I guess.
So this is the program in a nutshell. Hopefully we've caught your interest. Our application deadline is November 1. That is a hard and fast deadline. So November 1 at 11:59 p.m. Is our deadline. You can apply via studyabroad.nd.edu. Simply go to studyabroad.nd.edu, select programs, and look for the Russia program. Click on more information, and then you'll be taken to a page where we'll give you even more in-depth information than what we talked about today, as well as a link to apply. So I do want to leave you with our contact information so you can reach out to any one of us today. As I mentioned, I'm associate director in the office. My information is there. You can schedule an appointment with us through studyabroad.nd.edu as well. But our returnees who joined us today are Charles Shedor, Martin Healy. Their contact information is there. And it's certainly, of course, Professor Marullo is available as well to talk about how this experience will form you as a student in terms of your language capabilities, the opportunities that you'll have after an experience such as this. As well as how these courses will fit in towards your Russian major or supplementary major. Thank you for joining us today. And of course, we also have our social media accounts there. Follow us for more information on other resources available to all students in study abroad. But thank you for joining us today, and please do reach out with any questions that you have.